The Executor is one of the 8 Nightfarers introduced in Elden Ring Nightreign, a painter presumably hailing from the esteemed land of reeds. He's a master of katanas and deflection, basically the younger brother of Sekiro with a touch of art. Up till here it's pretty understandable, except that everything I just said is totally wrong, and every lore video that talked about the Executor got his identity and plot totally wrong. So in this video I will explain the true story of the Executor. Starting with the first entry in his journal, the Executor says the following: "Mine flesh partially plated, mine hand was brush, a window into oneself. Brush strokes outline these fragments of memory." The first line talks about his armor. We know that the Executor fused with his armor. Even in his beast form, we can see his armor still present. This may be a small detail, but in matter of fact, it's extremely crucial to the overall story of the Executor. The Executor continues explaining that his mind is fragmented and his memories lost. The second entry expands more on the subject. The Earth Tree. "I am an artist from the distant land of reeds, washed up on the shore, inspired by what I saw, but the pieces is incomplete. Something is missing." Here the Executor claims again that he came from the land of reeds, but his whole character seems out of place. Yes, he's a master of deflection and mainly uses a katana, but his ultimate ability is an aspect of the Crucible, a power exclusive to the Crucible Knights of the Lands Between. Lore-wise, we don't even know if the power of the Crucible extends outside the Lands Between. Every mention of the Crucible is exclusively connected to the Lands Between. So how can a samurai have access to the strongest Crucible transformation we ever saw? It's totally out of place. After the second chapter, the priestess tasks the Executor with something. She wants the Executor to retrieve an Altus bloom from Lemveld, saying that the Executor is very familiar with the Golden Order and the Lands Between before the Night Cataclysm, which again is very out of place for a painter from the land of reeds. After retrieving the Altus bloom, things start to take a wild turn. The priestess apologizes, saying that she had to test us. She explains, saying that the light of grace is the only thing connecting the shrouded round table to the outside world, and that she feels something is going to happen, and that our knowledge of grace will be vital. The third entry in the journal only expands the confusion. Flowers. An embracing warmth from the flowers. The same flowers that grew in my painter's shed. I am an artist painting the Earth Tree. I'm a guest bearing a sword. I am silent. I am a witness. This totally doesn't make any sense. Is the Executor the painter or the guest? And how can he be the witness? It seems the Executor himself doesn't know who he is anymore. Chapter 4 expands on the guest. I am a guest, or perhaps an executioner. The guest speaks. "I will wait until your Earth Tree is complete." The guest is an executioner that came to kill the painter, but he allowed the painter to finish the painting first. The drawn canvas shows a Crucible Knight. But didn't the Executor say he was the painter and the guest? Chapter 5 only worsened things even further. The Earth Tree was still incomplete, and so I drew a sketch in solace of an old friend from the land of reeds who speaks not a word. I will entrust it to my guest. I cannot complete the Earth Tree before another executioner arrives in the first one's stead. Here the painter draws a painting of the Executor's sword, the sword which is said to be cursed that we use to deflect. The interesting part is that the painter refers to the sword as an old friend from the land of reeds who speaks not a word. And indeed we are told that the Executor's sword is actually alive. The painter continues, saying that another executioner will be sent instead of the first one that allowed the painter to finish. Chapter 6 says the following: The Crucible Knight. A portrait of my guest, or perhaps my executioner. A crucible holds a composite. My guest couldn't bear to render a judgment. Here at the painter's shed, overlooking the earth tree until the very end. The drawn canvas shows the Crucible Knight holding his signature sword and shield, standing guard outside the painter's shed until the very end. The painter says that the Crucible holds a composite. This is the most important line in the entirety of the quest, a line that will reveal the true story of the Executor. The painter continues, saying that the Crucible Knight couldn't bear to render a judgment, and therefore it seems he made a decision. He will protect the painter from any other executioner that will come until the earth tree is finished. After that chapter, the priestess tasked the Executor with another task. The light of grace in the shrouded round table is fading away, and the only hope is to find a golden seed. The same seeds we use in the base game to augment our flask. The priestess explains, saying that our memory is the key to restore the fading light of grace. After defeating an earth tree avatar protecting the seed, we can bring it back to the priestess. She starts to augment the light of grace, and we are drawn into a memory. In the memory, we see the earth tree in its full radiance, and another executor tainted by the night appears. It seems that the other executor represents our fragmented and broken memory that was lost due to the night. After defeating our other self and heading to the source of light, the painter's shed appears. Outside the shed, we see the Altus bloom mentioned before in the journal. Alongside it, we find a dead Crucible Knight and the painter's canvas with the unfinished earth tree on it. Heading inside the shed, the truth begins to unfold. There is yet another Crucible Knight wielding a katana in hand and kneeling over a dead woman. Talking to the Crucible Knight makes him commit seppuku, stabbing himself with the katana. This Crucible Knight is none other than the Executor, evident by the stab wound being shown clearly on his remembrance skin. And the woman was actually the painter all along. What happened here is as following. As the painter already said, another executioner was sent to kill her. The Executor came to check on her, only to find her dead. In rage, he strikes down the second Crucible Knight. Kneeling over her dead body, he is filled with guilt, and so he stabs himself. That's why the Executor was imprisoned, because he killed the other Crucible Knight. Now here is where every video gets the story wrong. The Executor was never the painter, the sword never belonged to him, and he was never from the land of reeds. When the Executor stabbed himself, the immense power of the crucible inside of him got activated. Remember what the painter said, that a crucible holds a composite. A composite is something made up of several parts or elements. In chemistry, a composite is a material made from two or more elements that are combined to create a new, superior material. And that's exactly what the Crucible do in Elden Ring. The aspect of the Crucible reads as follows. This is a manifestation of the Earth Tree's primal vital energies, an aspect of the primordial Crucible, where all life was once blended together. This is what the Crucible is in Elden Ring. It's where all life was once blended together, and it can blend life again. That's exactly what happened in that shed. The power of the Crucible inside the Crucible Knight blended him, the painter, the armor, and the spirit of the katana together, and he became an amalgamation of all of them. He retained the power of the Crucible. His armor now protected him at all times. He gained the silence and ability to deflect from the katana. And finally, he gained the gift of painting from the painter. He was even painting the same portrait that she couldn't finish in time. Chapter 7 reads, The Executor, 2 faces, 1 sword. Such is my nature, a soul drenched in blood, yet willing to face the night. And perhaps when the night has passed, I will finish the Earth Tree. The first line hits way different after what we already established. 2 faces, 1 sword. Such is my nature. This isn't metaphorical. The Executor is literally a composite of two faces and a sword. The Iron Menial has some very interesting dialogue about the sword. Let's hear it together.
My champion, have you noticed? The blade you wear upon your hip is not the same as it once was. Not in outward appearance, but in its very being. I wonder why I feel so strongly this must be true. Perhaps it is because I too reside in a frame inanimate.
We can see here how the sword isn't just a weapon, it's something else. It's alive in its own way. Now if we go back and analyze the journal entries from that perspective, everything becomes clear. I am an artist from the distant land of reeds, washed up on the shore, inspired by what I saw. This is the woman talking here. She is from the land of reeds. She is the artist. I am an artist painting the earth tree. I'm a guest bearing a sword. I am silent. I am a witness. Again, the artist is the woman, the guest is the crucible knight, and the silent witness is the katana. Chapter 5 talks about the painter's old friend from the land of reeds who speaks not a word. It's talking about the katana. Chapter 6 talks about the crucible being a composite. We already explained this. And finally, Chapter 7 sums it all up and explains the true nature of the Executor. The Executor's story is an incredible one, fitting for his awesome design. It can also shed some light on other lore aspects from the base game. We got many examples of beings being a composite. The most obvious example is that of Marika and Radagon, but this is a topic for another video. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss future Nightreign content. And if you want to know the full story of the Revenant, you can click on this video. Until next video, farewell, Nightfarers.